And so with that, I want to thank everybody for being here today to hear about this pretty massive construction project on I-25. One of the things that I'm most excited about with this construction project is really getting bike access east-west. It's been a problem that I've heard from constituents, and we heard this morning during introduction. So I'm going to turn it over to Alonzo, Adriana, and Luke. They have a presentation. I'm going to ask everybody to go on mute while they present, and then we will do Q&A at the end. So hold your questions. You can type them into the chat if you're shy, but we would prefer if you just talk to us at the end. So with that, I think it's Alonzo that's going to be doing the presentation. So I'm going to turn it over to him and let them each introduce themselves and tell us what's going on I-25.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, I'll start. I think Adriana is going to be showing her screen. We have a presentation here for you all. I'd just like to thank you for your time this morning. Good to know how you all use these facilities. Looks like there's a good mix, commute, crossing, some bike and pedestrian access. So I think we'll be able to touch on all of those points here this morning. I'm Alonso Martinez. I'm with Horrocks. I'm part of the program management team. I'm a consultant to NMDOT. I'm currently running assistant project manager for the project. But yeah, we're going to share some information here with you all. Guess I just wanted to start, give you, I guess, Adriana, you should introduce yourself too.
Absolutely. My name is Adriana. I also work for Horrocks. I am part of the public involvement team. So we're out there doing a lot of community outreach, ensuring that everybody's aware of the project that's coming. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so this project on the NMDOT side probably started over a decade ago. They had a north I-25 corridor study that was from north of I-40, believed to the Bernalillo exit, and they identified this segment, the Comanche and Montgomery segment, as one of the needs for congestion relief and accidents as well. That's how we got here. Ultimately, NMDOT brought us under contract about 3 years ago. So we've been having on and off public engagement meetings, individual stakeholder meetings, just about this entire time. Back in December, so this project actually is being delivered in the design build delivery method. So that means we went through same in the qualifications period. So essentially we shortlisted 3 contractors. After the shortlisting, one of the contractors ended up dropping out just because due to the bandwidth reasons is what they mentioned. Last fall, we went through the RFP process with 2 contractors, and in December of 2023, we gave a preliminary notice of award to AUI, a local contractor, and that's who the department and Horrocks has been working with on this project. So where are we today? All right, so we're on the brink of starting major construction. Should be starting here this August. So yeah, it's August 2024. We're here now, right? We are expecting construction to last about for the next 3 years in this area. But don't be alarmed. The way we structure it in the RFP, construction is going to be done in isolated areas. Obviously, one of the biggest goals for the project is keep access, keep mobility. You know, it's one of the priorities for the department and for this project. We can go to the next slide. So, and we're going to touch the various things. I think we're going to talk about the improvement here, right? What are some of the things y'all be seeing with the final product? So we'll start with the main line. Main line will be widened to 4 lanes in each direction, northbound and southbound. Additional to the 4 lanes, we will have auxiliary lanes. So auxiliary lanes are the starts of the on ramps, the off ramps, etc. So in some areas it'll be wider than the 4-lane section. All right, so in this project, we're gonna be reconstructing 2 interchanges. So starting on the south side, the Comanche interchange, and on the north side, the Montgomery interchange. So both interchanges gonna have very similar final features: reconstructed bridge, advanced U-turns. If you're familiar with El Paso or Texas, sometimes called Texas turnarounds. And then underneath the bridges, we'll have the bike separated shared use path with concrete wall barrier there in those sections. Just wanted to talk about each interchange. Comanche. So on Comanche, we as Horrocks work with NMDOT and City of Albuquerque to prepare the RFP. It took a lot of coordination, but we actually got a 240-day closure on Comanche approved. Ultimately, through the design build process, the design builder AUI worked it into their schedule, worked it into their costs, etc. And they elected to not do a full closure. So Comanche will be reduced to 1 lane in each direction. But we look at that as a benefit when the contractor had the ability to do a full closure, but they figured out a way to still expedite construction and maintain access. We're really happy they're able to put that together for us. On the north side, or on the Montgomery interchange, something special there that the contractors bringing to the table is they're going to span all the lanes of I-25 at that project. So what does that mean for you? Right, so that's essentially eliminating construction phases. You no longer need to build a pier between northbound and southbound lanes, and you do a full span over whole bridge. A lot of that construction will be able to be done outside outside the traveling lanes. So once again, that we see that as a benefit for the public, for the traveling folks here. I think that's kind of the brief overview of what the final product will look like. So let's get into the construction impacts. I feel like that's probably the hot topic right now, right? So once again, remind you all, we're in this design build phase. So what does that mean? Is that the project is not fully designed yet. It's designed to allow to make decisions, but everything's gonna be one step at a time. So right now, what we can tell you and what we're here to talk about is the maintenance of traffic. The phase 1 is what we're calling. So phase 1 is actually going to push all the lanes of mainline I-25 towards the inside. What is that going to do? That's going to allow for work to happen outside the travel lanes, building bridge abutments, etc., widening, and construction after that. Another change that's going to happen with this phase 1 is the closure of the loop ramp at Montgomery. So, and the next slide kind of goes a little bit more into depth on that. And that, Adriana, if you go back one more. Yeah, we all just want to bring up with this phase 1, we also have the Comanche closure down the 1 lanes. All right, so all these closures I just mentioned, well, aside from the loop ramp, that'll be a permanent closure. But these closures are what's set for during the we'll call it the daytime hours. There is going to be some additional lane closures during the non-working hours. We call them off-peak hours. So there's going to be some additional delays. I think there's some folks here with churches worried about that. So we can talk about that here at the end. So there is, there should be some expectations. There's going to be some further closings over the weekend as girder placements and big construction items happen to where that closure is necessary. The RFP has a limit on those. So it's not, it's not like a free for all. The contractor's not allowed to close the project at all times. It's something very thought out. and it's a balancing act, right? Bigger construction zone could mean a faster project, but then more impact. So it's all kind of a balance of all these things for the project. All right, Adriana, now we can go to the next page. So yes, honing in here on the loop ramp. Loop ramp will be closed. We will be providing a double left turn there. I believe that is only a single left turn bay. So we're going to be, diverting all that traffic there, shutting off the shoulder on the main line I-25, impactful. So we want to, we definitely want the public to be aware of this closure. And this closure is necessary to start building all those, like what I mentioned, those bridge abutments outside the travel lanes, as they start gearing up for those bridge constructions. Next slide. So for our drivers, right, like I mentioned, anticipate lane reductions on I-25 and local streets throughout the construction, as well. Most of those lane closures are going to be off peak. We're like I mentioned, we trying to prioritize mobility, access. We want to be as least as impactful as we possibly can. And the contractor has a schedule right now to be working from to 24/7. So you're going to see a lot of activity, and that's their that should expedite the construction time, and limit impacts to the drivers. Businesses and residents, think like a lot of folks mentioned on the call, there's apartments, right? Housings, businesses right up to this project, literally in the back, in y'all's backyard. We are prioritizing driveway accesses to all establishments along the project. We in that phase 1 traffic control that was approved, a lot of business access signs to promote business access. We do want to make you aware, that there is going to be an increase in noise, perhaps by vibration and dust, and that's expected where they're doing the pile driving, which is limited to the Montgomery Bridge and the braided ramps. So those can be isolated locations. Yep. Next slide, Adriana. So something that was brought up here, some of y'all mentioned about that crossing there at Comanche. Everybody stays away from it. That's going to be significantly improved. In the interim, working with the city, we've developed this detour for the bike, for the bike facilities. Pedestrian access will remain on Comanche. This detour will be signed for users here.
Okay, I'll go ahead and take over from here, Alonso. On the screen is our contact information. We do have a website. So all the maps that you saw here in this presentation, plus some more, are going to be on that website. We're going to be updating the website with impacts as they come along, and those impacts that affect drivers, the impacts that affect residents and commuters, and then also pedestrians and cyclists. So please visit our website to get those details. You can also sign up for email and text alerts on our website. It's going to be the first thing that pops up. This is really important, so I highly encourage you to do it as soon as possible. Our email blasts are going to occur at milestones throughout the project for the next 3 years, and our text message blasts are going to be a lot more frequent. So they're going to tell you when there are planned and unplanned impacts in the construction zone. So when we are doing reducing lanes or closing lanes, you're going to get that immediate text message. You're also going to get a text message when this is resolved. And then when there's an incident in the work zone, we're also going to notify you. And this is just to help you navigate your way through the city. Really, we want you to avoid the area when there are these incidents that occur or when there are major impacts that are occurring, and plan ahead of time. So I, again, highly encourage you to go sign up for those. It's very important. We also have a hotline here. It is a 24/7 hotline. Our public involvement team runs it. So we might not be able to answer your question right then and there, but we will get in contact with the right person to do so and get your questions answered as soon as possible. We also have an email address that we check periodically throughout the day. So we're always constantly going back and forth and making sure that your questions and concerns are answered through email as well. That's it for us. I guess we'll go ahead and open it up to questions.
Before we do that, can we go back to or I just want to talk about grand scheme of phasings, if I may, Councilor. Yeah, go back.
Yeah, please.
One more. So right here, just another thing I wanted to bring up. So that phasing, we're going to start on the main line, bringing, pushing traffic towards the median, working on the outside. First phase, we're only allowing the contractor to work on the main line and Comanche. So it's a strict restriction. You won't see work per se on Comanche and Montgomery, right? That work will be essentially flip-flop, right? So if the contractor is working on Montgomery, they can't work on Comanche and vice versa. And the scheme of the construction phasing will be building Comanche first, and then once that's completed, then they'll move to Montgomery. Another aspect is that we added into the RFP that the contractor can't work on the frontage roads as they're working on the main line. So once again, we're not allowing the contractor to just have major impact to the traveling public. So there were items like that are in place with mobility and access in mind. So yeah, I realize I forgot to touch on that, but I think it's important. So just know when construction happens, you will see barrels the whole stretch, but the main work will be in isolated areas for that purpose.
Thank you. That's helpful. Okay, so we're gonna take questions. Ben and then Kent.
Sure. Yeah, I wanted to say, first of all, most aspects of this project look pretty amazing. I can't imagine a design like this even 10 years ago. But I did see some issues with the bike access where, the middle of the scope of the project looks good because there's the fully protected multi-user pathways, on the overpasses and the underpass. But leading up to that, I can't remember which project, but I think it's Candelaria has a bike path, like a separated bike path all the way through the western scope of the project, but not on the east side. And then Montgomery doesn't have a bike path on either side. I think that's right. So I was wondering why we can't have like a protected an off-street bike path through the whole project, like just make the sidewalks through the whole project as a multi-user pathway instead of putting bike lanes, between the through traffic and the right turn lane, because that's just going to create conflicts. And I noticed in the bike plan, these two interchanges are like high priority, and you've got the north diversion channel just to the east. So I really feel like we need to tweak this design a little bit so that we're setting up this project, to be accessible for everybody, no matter how they want to travel through these intersections, because we're going to be stuck with this probably for 30 or 40 years. So we need to get it right, and we need to have the things in place. Like I think we need, detectors in the bike lanes or on the multi-user pathways. So if at some point in the near, 10 years from now, we want to use some AI or intelligent traffic management system that system can be connected to detectors in the bike lane, so that we can have like bike priority or bike only signaling or whatever that, because I've heard from our city traffic engineer, Tim Brown, that the reason we have a lot of problems managing traffic signals in the city just for vehicular traffic right now is because years ago, like they only put detectors at the intersections, but not before the intersections. So that the signals don't have any idea that cars are coming. So I think we need kind of the same idea for bicyclists, so that when bicyclists travel through the corridor, it can know that a bicyclist is coming and maybe change the signaling so that the bicyclist is given a safer route, so that car traffic is stopped while the bicyclist crosses through the intersection or whatnot. That was my first kind of concern and question.
Let me jump in, Ben. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to ask questions. So let's give the team
Sure, yeah.
chance
Come
to
back to me
respond
for
to
the
that
second
one.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, this project's been going on for 3 years. There was heavy coordination with the bike advocacy groups here in Albuquerque, City of Albuquerque, GATC. I know in the past we've held special meetings with them, stakeholder coordination. What is currently in the RFP and what's part of the concept, to my understanding, was something that was approved and well supported, but with the community. In terms of this project, it'd be really hard to make some of the changes you're talking about, Ben, here, but that doesn't mean there's other opportunities. Horrocks is also working with NMDOT with other projects along I-25, the Gibson and the S curve area. So yeah, I think I encourage you to voice your concern for these types of things, and that way they can be implemented for the project. I know, for this project, specifically there at Comanche, providing a safe crossing was one of our priorities here.
Good.
Thank
Thank you. We're gonna go on to Kent and then Susan and then back to Ben unless somebody else raises their hand. I want to make sure everybody gets a chance. But Kent?
Yeah, hi. Just wondering, sorry I took up too much time before. I'll be quick here. The main concern here is, will the Pan American frontage road in front of Silvercrest, the apartments along here, be closed?
It will never be fully closed, to answer your
Okay, cool.
you will always have, we can't shy around it. It's construction, going to be invasive. We're going to have some closures. It's going to be, it takes a village. We're all going to come together and get this constructed, right? We did not.
Nobody's losing access. You'll always have a way in and out.
Okay, good. And the other thing people are wondering here is, will there be a bus stop nearer to us? Old people, they can't get across to the nearest bus stop. Is there going to be a new one put in by the Speedway station or anywhere near Silvercrest?
We've been coordinating close with ABQ Ride throughout this, so I can take the question to them.
Yeah, that would be much appreciated, because it's very hazardous for people to try to get to the bus right now over the bridge and everything. So
Happy to relay that. Yes, sir.
yeah, thank you very much.
And
That's
if there any follow-up information that comes from this meeting, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing with me, we can put it in our newsletter so that everybody gets the same answers. I know you'll probably put it on your website too, but it'd be nice to share with the people that were on this call. All right, Susan.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. I'm an Uber rider, and because I don't drive, I don't have a car. And so when I need to, take an Uber ride to my doctor appointments or whatever it is, are you guys going to coordinate and make sure that somebody from Uber can update the maps that the drivers use to get to where they're going, so that they know which way to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you visit our website right now, we have nmroads.com. They are going to be in conjunction with Waze, and they will update the impacts as they come along.
Thank you.
The project as a
Great.
whole, we prioritize sharing this information, because we understand that it's very important.
All right, that's an interesting question. I had not thought of that, Susan. Okay, back to Ben.
Yeah, I just wanted to maybe get into the weeds just a little bit more and actually get an answer to this. I'm on the website right now and I'm looking at the very last set of images that says, you know, on non-motorized transportation. So I'm looking at the Comanche one. And there's sort of like a zoomed in box at the bottom that shows the bike lane, like sandwiched between the through traffic and the right turn lane. I'm just kind of wondering why can't we like sort of delete that bike lane and in the roadway and use that extra space just to make the sidewalk next to it into a multi-user pathway like it is on the rest of the project.
Mr. Garland, I'm not
It,
sure.
it kind of comes down to a lot of times it's like with bike infrastructure, it's like the weakest link, right? Like if somebody doesn't feel safe on one part of it, then they're not going to use it at all, you know? So it just seems unfortunate that we've got, like, especially on Comanche, it's like 75% of the project has got this great multi-user pathway. And then on the eastern end, it just disappears and it becomes, you're thrown into the car traffic.
Luke, were you gonna say something?
I'm not sure that what Mr. Garland's looking at on the project website reflects the current typical section under Comanche. Because it's sidewalk on one side and a protected bike multi-use path on the other side, correct? So I do think that that does answer what you're looking for here. And it is consistent with the Albuquerque Bikeway and Trail Facilities Plan.
Perhaps someone could, well, I guess only Adriana has access, but could somebody show the map so we can all see the same thing?
Sure. Which map do you want me to show?
It's the very last one on the website. It says non-motorized transportation, and it says on the right side is the Comanche, and it says click to enlarge.
On the improvements tab?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it.
Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, the improvements tab.
You know,
And then on the bottom right corner, there's like a call out box that shows the bike lane sandwiched between the traffic.
would you
Folks,
mind to walk a user through?
There's a queue, Peggy, there's a queue for questions. We have people with their hands up. Let's finish this question, then we'll move on.
I want to
Yeah.
be able to walk to that map. Can you walk a user through to that map on the site?
Folks, please go on mute if you're not the one that's asking the question right now. We're gonna let the team walk us through what's on the website.
Yeah, so what's being shown on here, these were part of the concept plans that Horrocks and NMDOT and City of Albuquerque all, you know, we all coordinated, and this was what was required of the contractor to construct. Yeah, I see what you're saying, where we have the bike lane between the through lane and the right turn lane. That's what you're asking about, Ben?
Right. Like why do that when the other 75% of the project west of there is the bike is fully separated from the traffic? Because, you know, you think about like a kid or an elderly person or whoever, you know, that doesn't feel comfortable with riding in the roadway, they're not going to ride through this because 25% of it, they've got to be in the road.
Yeah, I understand your question. I can follow up with you offline. I can tell you this is what the plan is to construct, and we have had prior approval from all the stakeholders here.
Yeah, so DMD and Vision Zero, and they were all happy with this?
That's right. So, sir, if you look at at 1 Albuquerque. The 2024 Albuquerque Bikeway and Trail Facilities Plan, Comanche is designated to have a designated bike lane. It's not shown as having any intended standalone trail, which is really what I think you're describing and asking for.
Right. Like I mean, it just doesn't seem to me like why not just make the sidewalk bigger like you did on like it is on the west side of Comanche. Why not make it the same on the east side so that you have continuous safe passage through the entire scope of the project?
There's a lot of reasons for that, and I don't know if I can certainly follow up with you offline, but just one of the big things here is the scope of this project is really interstate improvements. And I mean, with that, we are looking at the intersections on the frontage roads connecting. So if we were to build a kind of a short segment of trail on Comanche through the frontage road, we wouldn't have good logical termini, meaning on the eastbound and on the westbound extents of the project to drop people. So if we had a trail, for example, on the north side or the south side of the project, unless this was extend all the way to the next intersecting street and become an intersection improvement project at the next road, there would be no safe way to drop somebody off this trail because they'd then be either on a sidewalk, which is not good for several reasons, or being dumped onto the road in the wrong direction. So it would really be it would be the onus of another project on Comanche to really pick that up. So what's going in here with the designated crossing will be compatible with a future trail project should one come in, but this isn't going to be happening with this. But the crossing on the underpass Comanche, really that separated bicycle facility could have future trail connections should there ever be a trail project along this Elementor Road. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, but that's kind of where we are with this.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah, I'd definitely
All
like to
right.
follow up offline a little bit and just kind of, I know you have a lot of competing interests that you have to balance, but I just don't see why we can't delete the bike lane and make the sidewalk bigger there.
Okay, folks, we're gonna
a
move
lot of
on. I've
answers-
got other questions,
Yes,
so
thank
let's
you.
stop.
Okay.
Let's go to Kent.
Yeah, hi. Is there any plan to build along the Pan American frontage road a sidewalk? We have people with wheelchairs and walkers walking in the road all the time, and pedestrian traffic in the road, the frontage road, all the time. It's not safe at all.
The frontage roads do not, we don't anticipate to build any sidewalk along the frontage roads.
Okay.
Considered.
Mr. Madden, where are you observing this? Is it throughout or are there certain locations?
Yes, so there's that short frontage road that goes past the Speedway station off of it goes past that, and it stops at Desert Creek. So it's a
Okay.
short frontage road that the address is Pan American Freeway Northeast, but of course it's
Right.
a frontage road. There's no sidewalk along there. People are always walking in the road. The wheelchairs are in the road. It's not good. And we've got a lot of apartments there now that Arroyo Vista went in. There's tons of traffic, and frankly, folks are not very careful coming off of Arroyo Vista. There's a lot of hazards there. I'm surprised nobody's gotten killed, frankly.
One thing that we're doing, and no, we're not adding sidewalk onto the frontage road with this. There's no intention of doing that. It's an element that we really not like to introduce, but North Diversion Channel Trail, which does run immediately behind where I think you're describing, we are providing additional access off Montgomery now to get people onto that. So that would be the preferred pedestrian multi-use access. So people trying to access these locations, they could approach it from kind of the east side and use back entrances.
Right. Yeah, I understand. It's folks that are trying to get to the Speedway station, folks that are trying to get to the bus stop that are having the problem.
Yeah.
There's
so
a
we're
big
definitely
hazard
completing the sidewalk access on Montgomery, Comanche, and the roads itself, but not on the frontage road. No.
Okay, so you're widening that sidewalk that goes to the current bus stop, the nearest bus stop on Montgomery?
Widening's not the word, but we are filling out that gap. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because the wheelchairs and everything have a terrible time trying to, that narrow bridge and everything, it's very scary.
Yeah, definitely one of the things we're doing with this job is throughout the project limits, anywhere that we have Americans with Disability Acts or PROAG non-compliance, we're bringing everything up to standard.
Great. That's really good to hear. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm always surprised at how far behind we are on ADA accessibility. And so anytime there's a project, I think the state and the city and District 7 all agree that we should be upgrading everything we can
Absolutely.
anytime we're touching anything. Michelle?
Yes, I was wondering, since you said that it was design build, doesn't that mean there's some flexibility for changes during the project?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay, so it isn't frozen like a regular project. So good. So maybe there can be some changes made since you haven't broken ground yet. Good. Okay.
Thank you.
And then Tanya, are there questions on chat? I see quite a few chat messages, but I don't know if they're questions.
Yeah, Spencer had brought up Odelia and Indian School is really too steep to make it as a primary bicycle detour. Why not direct to Osuna?
So the detour was actually made by the city of Albuquerque. They gave us the route and we provided the graphic to go along with that. So it's a city of Albuquerque approved route.
Okay. And then Janet Sayers at Comanche and Edith, what will be the routes for them? It seems like Candelaria will be important.
Can you repeat that again?
Yeah, so solid waste at Comanche and Edith. What will the routes be for them? Seems like Candelaria will be important. That's what the message says. Maybe Janet wants to clarify.
Yeah, if you could clarify, but in the meantime, I can try to field that, which is nothing should be interrupted here. So the routes that are being used now will continue to be accessible during and through construction.
All I was trying to do was make the point that the entire huge solid waste department with hundreds of trash trucks is right there at Comanche/Griegos, just west of that interchange. And I didn't know, like, all the egress that normally would be coming down Comanche. Anyway, will they all, I mean, they're not going to get in that one lane, they're with their trucks consuming so much, diesel and everything, and they're going to try to take the path of least resistance. And those one lane detours in Albuquerque are nightmares. People avoid them at all costs. Anyway, I just was concerned if Candelaria now will become a more heavily traveled east-west. Thank you.
No, your concern is valid, and yes, Candelaria is going to be receiving more traffic, including those operations.
And on that point, we've been coordinating with City of Albuquerque traffic, and we have what they call Blinksy sensor, essentially provide real-time information in terms of queues and things like that. So we partnered with the traffic division, so if they need to make adjustments to signal timing, that's something that's we're gonna have to adapt as the project progresses.
Okay, thanks. Tanya, are there other questions on the chat?
It looks like the rest had been resolved, and some more positive comments.
Okay, great. All right, so any other questions? I see Kent.
Yeah, is there any plan to have a sound barrier up along I-25 in this population dense area with all the apartments and everything?
So to my understanding, this was before I was involved with the project. There was a sound study completed. And I believe don't want to it went up for community consensus and it was not approved. And there could not be a community consensus that they wanted it. So therefore it's not part of the project.
I believe the apartment complexes did not want it because it would attract unhoused populations to hang out behind the barrier was what I recall.
Okay, that's, yeah, I get it. That's unfortunate. It's very loud along here, very loud. So, yep, well, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for the team? I did just get a text from one of you that the question that they were asking, and I think I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna let you guys open it up. What happens around the balloon fiesta and how will construction be handled?
Good question. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely a big event here in Albuquerque. The contractors is not allowed to do any lane closures during that week. Yeah, to keep traffic moving. We understand how busy that season is. So
yeah, the city's got a moratorium, so we're going to pick up our tools for the duration of that, keep things moving. Yeah.
I remember that from my very first briefing, but it's a concern people have. All right, Peggy.
Thank you. I had to step off at the first part of the discussion, so maybe you've already covered this, but how are the bus lines impacted and how is that information getting down to the riders?
So we did meet with ABQ Ride. They're a big stakeholder of ours. They said that it shouldn't impact their stops. But if like there are like lane closures or delays or anything, that may be an impact. And you can find those on their website. And we'll also link their website to our website. I'm not too sure it's up there yet, but it's coming. It's going to be a blurb to let you know if you're looking for impacts from ABQ Ride to visit their website.
Okay, thanks.
And I'll just add, we've also been in coordination with APS and their bus division. We met with them just last week, part of the community coordination team. So, we're very, we're trying to have a robust communication with the public, with stakeholders, to once again be as least impactful as we possibly can.
Okay, this might be a world's record. We have 4 minutes and I don't see any more hands, which never happens on these. So I do want to make sure that there were a couple of outstanding questions Ben had on kind of the bike path process. I want to make sure that he gets connected to the right people to get detailed answers on that. So what's the best person for him to reach out to?
I've got Ben's email, so I'm going to be getting in touch.
Okay, all right, so that's covered. Did anybody else have anything that you wanted to get more information about? I want to make sure we have everybody connected to the right people before we sign off. Kent.
Yeah, who would I follow up on the bus stop nearer to the folks here in this apartment dense area? The old people need a bus stop nearby.
Yeah, I think that would have been ABQ Ride. We can go ahead if you want to send us an email to the info at I-25 Improved, and we can put you guys in touch with ABQ Ride. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, any other outstanding questions? Any other data you'd like to see, or any just comments? Okay. We want to thank the team for coming and giving us this overview. We really appreciate it. It's a big project, folks. So I signed up for the text messages. I think everybody should that's in this area, because I think that's probably the best way to get like real-time information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
please do. We
do that.
promise we're not gonna flood you with junk. It's, yeah, we'll keep it focused and things you can use.
All
Thank you.
right.
Yes, Tammy, we really
All right.
appreciate people need as much information as possible.
Well, we try. I mean, the more you know, I mean, I think everybody wants these projects, this project to happen. They want better crossage east-west. They want bike access, all of those things. But the, 3 years of pain to get there is hard. So we want to make sure everybody has all the information. I do think the team is doing an amazing job of getting information out to the community and answering questions. And I like that they don't always have the answer, but they find it. So I would encourage you to use the contacts that they gave us, and go from there. But we were just going to thank Luke, Alonzo, and Adriana. Thank you for coming today. We do have about 2 minutes, so if anybody will stop recording. And then if anybody has any other questions that they want to hang out for literally a minute, we will do that, but we want to let this go as soon as possible. So thank you all for your time.